Welcome to the pod at My Village.
Well, we're going to have fun talking all things My Village Ministries, family preservation, and the church's involvement in this important work.
We are Phil and Mel, and we don't know anything about running podcasts, but we do know a little bit about family preservation.
Hey.
Hey.
It's not Mel and Phil.
Nope.
What do you think Mel's doing right now?
Driving.
Where do you think she's at currently? She's driving back from a conference, Southern Baptist Convention conference down in Orlando, Florida. She started this morning.
I don't know.
Where do you think she's at?
Did she start early in the morning?
I would guess it was like 8 o'clock.
Buc-ee's probably then.
Yeah, she's had a Buc-ee's.
Without you,
Like
too.
currently eating brisket.
Just brisket, yeah.
In spite of me. And Mel, if you are, I hate you for that. No. I'm currently drinking a beverage that I don't really enjoy.
Mm.
Do you want to take a guess at what it is?
Is it tea?
No. It's one of the seltzers.
Oh, you poured it. So incognito of you.
Yeah.
Because the sponsorship reasons.
Correct. Yeah. Sponsor. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should start putting out like Coca-Cola and different things. See if there would be a sponsor out there for us.
Just get someone in the comment section.
No, it's that toasted coconut something or another.
Yeah.
And I really like coconut, but it does taste like I'm just drinking sunscreen. You know how all sunscreen has like the coconut scent to it?
Something's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just I
like
should have just poured in like SPF 50.
The oils that they used to make that was just like a little bit of
extracted.
Just beach bum.
Yeah, it's like a essential oil that they squeezed in there from sunscreen.
Just actually probably makes it more expensive than the other ones because sunscreen is so expensive.
That's probably true. Well, if you haven't picked up on it, it is not Phil and Mel.
It is not.
It's Ben and Phil. We're going all male today.
That's right.
Yeah. No, Mel's traveling back from, again, the Southern Baptist Convention. And we thought we'd mix it up a little bit. Going to have a little fun today.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, how you feeling about it? We got no one behind the camera.
We have no one. Everything.
So we don't, yeah. Could be a crapshoot.
Could be. Or it could be the best.
Could be the greatest thing ever.
We've ever recorded.
Yeah, there could be a new podcast that starts because of this.
We could just keep sending Mel to Florida every time we record.
Yeah.
Which she'd probably also be happy about. Yeah. So really, it's
we're just responding to the comments out there.
We've
like
had
the weak link of Mel.
Amount of comments. Saying, can you just remove Mel and insert anyone else?
Just anyone but her.
So I'm someone.
Yeah, we're giving the audience what they want.
We tried out Morgan, but she's just too busy.
Yeah, so. She's too busy saving the world. Well, right. we should ask each other some questions.
We should.
Can I start?
Yeah.
All right. Everyone knows your affinity towards sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
So I will allow this to be one of the options. I'm going to kind of combine two previous questions that we've asked.
Okay.
Into one for you. So you are stuck on a deserted island.
Okay.
With one other person. It could be a person of your choice. It doesn't have to be an MVM staffer.
That's good.
But you're allowed to have 3 items that you take with you. And one of them that can be a 5-pound bag of sweet potatoes. Now you can choose that as one of the 3. It doesn't have to be, but I'm throwing it out there as that could be an option.
That could be an option.
Yeah.
That's a lot of potatoes.
Yeah. But what are your 3 items that you're taking, knowing that you have to survive on this island for at least a month?
For survival skills, 5 pounds of potatoes won't get me far.
No, it won't.
Maybe to dinner.
Yeah. How would you cook them? If you had no fire, would you just kind of treat them like an apple?
I've been places where they cooked eggs by making a fire and poking a hole in the egg and putting it under the embers, like burying it. And then when the egg was cooked, the yolk would shoot out the top. And
really?
Potatoes don't have yolks.
Yeah, so it'd be hard to...
It would be hard to know if it's overcooked. But I think if I perforated it and put it under a fire, that's how I'd cook it. I'd bring a microwave and a generator. That's my other 2.
Yeah. That's hardcore cheating.
Yeah.
So you'd treat the sweet potato kind of like a pig in Hawaii. You know how they bury the pig and cook them underground?
I did not know that.
Like they do that for a luau, I think. That's like
they bury the pig?
Yeah, they somehow cook it underground. I've seen Bear Grylls do stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So you'd bury a sweet potato and cook it somehow.
Probably.
And hope that some sort of yolk type substance would arise from the surface.
Just wait for some sort of yolk.
Yeah, no, that's good. No, so we have 3 items. And it can't be a generator. That's true.
No, I'd probably bring like a fire starter of some kind, like a stone and flint type of a thing. Paracord is a big one, I've heard.
Yep,
It's a big
I've
one.
heard that.
And then some sort of a knife, and I would die pretty soon.
Yeah.
But those are my 3.
Would you consider yourself more of a hunter or gatherer?
Probably more of a gatherer.
Yeah, I would.
Unfortunately,
I would dub you as that.
I
think you'd be good at it.
I like to don a mama.
You grew up on a
mentality.
farm.
That's true. Yeah.
So you'd probably be good at both. But you probably gathered quite a bit of things over the years.
I've gathered a lot. That's true.
A lot of flowers, which wouldn't necessarily come in handy.
Yeah, I've gathered
Unless
a
there's
lot
edible.
of flowers. Some are. You can just eat honeysuckles.
Oh,
and
yeah.
dandelion. Dandelion's really good for you. That might
Yep.
be the only thing I would need.
Dandelion leaf has been on the rise, right?
It has.
Yep.
It's getting more and more expensive, which
Is it?
shows that
I feel like that'd be an easy thing to make some money off of.
just selling dandelion tea,
Yeah, and growing it.
like you've just stopped treating your yard, and boom, you've got
exactly.
whole
Or
harvest.
just make your way through a neighborhood that has neglected their yard.
Just pick them.
I'm sure most people would appreciate it. That's a solid list. I assume
Thank you.
Emily would be your person of choice.
Yeah, probably. I'm not sure how good her survival skills are, though. It may be like Bear Grylls as well. No offense, Emily. I would be curious to hear what her list of 3 things would be.
What do you think would be on the list for sure?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's a good question, though.
Right.
I would hope she'd bring a knife and something to start a fire.
Yeah.
But I really don't know. I've never asked her that.
Yeah. Tonight. That's a good dinner
Tonight.
conversation.
That's a dinner conversation
I'm
tonight.
giving you some fodder.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I frequently
I'm
don't
sure
know what
you
to say.
struggle in
Yeah.
conversation with your wife. We were like, what
Oh, what am I going to say?
what are we talking about next?
Still hoping that she likes me, but we'll get past that. I heard that's a phase.
It's the whole honeymoon phase.
So yeah, that's what it is. My first question is: when you're a young boy, you always, like, at least from my experience, so I can't say always, dream of being some like superhero of some kind.
Yeah.
What was the awesome death that you would have had if you were to have chosen, like, I've saved the world and I fall into a pit of lava?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Were you fighting Bowser? Or is Bowser, is that too?
That was not necessarily a thing back in the day.
I wasn't sure.
I always enjoyed Wolverine.
Mm.
So who was Wolverine fighting?
The Nazis, right?
Was he?
Don't quote me on that. I feel like he was, but maybe that was Captain America as well.
That'd be an honorable death.
Being Wolverine?
Well, yeah,
Or fighting Nazis.
Fighting the Nazis.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one, I guess.
Yep, that's respectable. Yeah, I think just going against some egregious, widespread evil, like laying down my life, or
Yeah. But there was no grand.
No, yeah.
Because mine was definitely something like parachuting into a volcano, saving the
Wow.
whole world. Yeah.
And why would you need to do that? Just
It would have done it.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
good. That seems realistic.
I was just maybe that was just my own experience. Being like, yeah, that'd be how I did it.
That's good. I like that. It'd be a quick death.
Hopefully.
Yeah, you're not like just.
Depends how good your aim is.
You haven't like Anakin Skywalker it, where you're just like just slowly burning from the toes
What
up.
a deep call. His eyes just slowly turning yellow and turning into a bad guy.
Yep. Yeah, he thought he had he did have the high ground. His arrogance came back to bite him.
And he was shorter from that time on.
Yeah, I digress. Second question. What is the theological question that you wrestle with that you're eager to ask God if you get to heaven?
Oh man,
I know it's a little bit of an if for you.
that was cruel. As I'm deep in
No,
thought.
yeah. No, when you get on the other side of eternity, what's that question?
I think I have a lot of faith when it comes to things like God and suffering and like a lot of the big ones.
Yep.
I just would be so interested to, like, I'd want him to just show me from behind the curtain how the like spiritual and like what we see and what we don't see interact, and like how that has happened throughout the divine narrative, you know? So like,
I'm with you on that.
What does that look like? And that's not a theological question, but it's just like, I want you to run that back and show me your perspective on all the things, because that would be so, I'm sure it's beautiful, you know?
Yep. That's a good one. I applaud you.
Like, what does the spiritual war that we're engaged in, I don't know what that means.
Correct.
You know, obviously I believe it's a thing, but I'm just not sure exactly what that looks like.
And how that does intersect with the physical.
And how does that intersect with like our experience right now, you know?
Yeah, so that's good.
That's something that I wonder about every once in a while.
That's good.
Question 2 for me, I'm still new at questions. What is going off of theological questions, what is a theological maybe argument or position that you thought was really important earlier in your life that you've realized isn't worth, it's not as high a level of importance as you thought it once was?
Now, obviously, some would argue this, but young Earth, old Earth.
Mm.
You know, there's a whole channel. Have you, by chance, seen this channel on YouTube? I believe the channel is called Genesis is History.
No.
It's interesting.
Is it like Genesis is history?
Mm-hmm.
Is it similar to like
they have a young Earth approach. And they build, I mean, their whole channel's wrapped around that.
Similar to Answers in Genesis then?
And they have strong convictions on the importance of a believer taking a stance on that. It's kind of interesting. But
Genesis might be the theological question I have for God.
Just
explain Genesis.
Yeah, just Genesis.
Oh my word.
Man, the amount of movies they could make out of just the book of Genesis alone that they have not is a travesty.
It's crazy. Or
like
Judges.
If Hollywood's lacking creativity right now, they just need to open up the
Old
first
Testament
book
and be like, what was Jeremiah doing? And like, boom, movie.
It's so true, man. We had that conversation, I feel like, on the sidewalk going down to our free food at
Earth Day.
Earth Day. Yes.
At North Star? Is that what it's
North
called?
Star,
North Star. So good.
Yep. Yeah, young Earth, old Earth.
That's a fair one.
Yeah. Now I just care about loving Jesus,
just
loving
love
others.
Jesus and love other people.
Yeah.
But sadly, if they misunderstand or choose the wrong one, they're not making it to heaven.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Well, today's all about you.
I guess
Mainly about you. I'm going to interview you about a handful of things. I want to start here, though. Just tell us a little bit about your story growing up. When you came to the faith, what was your testimony like there?
Yeah. I grew up at Grace Pow Church. Born and raised. I do not remember a time of my life that I was not at Grace Pow Church, which...
One of our partner churches.
One of our partner churches. If anybody from Grace Pow is listening to this, hi. And it's just a healthy church. They love Jesus and they love other people really well. So, and I grew up in a family that represented that church well. So I really do think that I had a very healthy understanding of Christianity before you understand Christianity. I think before you understand the gospel in the sense of the externals.
Yep, good call.
You know, and I think I had a pretty healthy representation of that. Definitely lean more toward the Pharisee-esque, pride puffs up type of a thing where I would, I loved doing good at the Christian thing. So I definitely was Bible Jeopardy in 4th grade. I was the guy. I was the guy in the classroom. Did you ever do the
sword drill?
I was so good at sword drills. So good at them. I was insanely good at them.
You got a lot of W's under your belt, I'm sure.
I do. Yeah. And I Awana. I had Timothy Award, if that means anything to you. Timothy Award.
Shout out to Awana too. Do you remember the first verse that you memorized in Awana by chance?
They went through the Romans road.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
Solid.
It was so good. Yeah. I think it was Romans 3:23.
Nice.
Might be wrong, but I think it was. They also went through an ACTS. Shout out to Awana. Awana did a ton, and I didn't realize how much it really did for my soul until I was in my 20s. It was whoa, I know scripture.
Pride laid a foundation that you were completely, obviously unaware of in the moment.
And then when I went back to memorize scripture later on, I was like, oh, I know how to do this, and I kind of get a lot of this already, which is super cool. Anyways, I think my faith journey kind of started. I got it at a young age, like got the whole, like this is the gospel. Then when I was 12, my family, we grew up in the suburbs, and we moved to a farm to start a ministry and start a business, which was just a huge step of like discomfort out of like, we lived in the neighborhood with our best friends, like perfect childhood growing up, just bike to your friend's house every day type of a thing. And my parents consciously chose to leave that atmosphere and leave that environment. And it wasn't like we moved states. We just moved 20 minutes away or so and decided to fix up an old farm because they believed that's what the Lord told them to do, which I was like, whoa, more is caught than taught. So it wasn't like I was like, that is it. But it was, I think, over time through that experience, I kind of understood that the call of Christ, Bonhoeffer says, like, when Christ calls a man, he bids them come and die. And there's a sense that, like, it's not like you live your happy life and then there's Jesus in it as well. It's like, Christ is Lord, and he calls you to something, and it can be beautiful. The farm is beautiful, like literally and metaphorically or figuratively. It's beautiful, but it was hard. And I think through seeing my parents do that and just through a couple other things, Bible studies, I kind of came to, I remember when I was driving, so I was kind of old. And I just remember the gospel like hitting me in a whole new way. And be like, oh, this is it. And then since then, it's just, everything changed, you know?
Now, I've had an opportunity to talk to your former youth pastor from Grace Powell, and testimonies from him about you were really exciting for me to hear, to be honest with you. I had a lot of great things to say. Well, I mean, he really talked about your engagement. What did engagement in your church look like really after you made that commitment to follow Jesus?
Well, it's actually kind of ironic because I was always involved in my church. I did Awana and everything growing up. And then I served when I was in middle school, I was serving in the elementary. So I definitely stayed involved, but I wasn't super involved in the youth group until I was involved. I knew John very well, but sports and stuff, you know how it can be, until like maybe my sophomore, junior year. And then I really got involved. And then my senior year, I spent some of the year abroad. But I think that the Lord was just doing something in the youth group. And John had gone out of his way, and some pastors before him even to just like cultivate a relationship with me and say like, let's invest into that one, which was cool. It was a great opportunity. And I think the Lord just did something through the class that I was in, and we were able to kind of set a different sort of culture for where the youth group was going that is still there in many senses. So it's been cool how many of the class before me and my class have turned around and now serve in the youth group, and I served at the youth group since I graduated. Yeah. But I mean, I think we lived in pretty close community, especially when I was in like those earlier years.
Yeah, no, that's great. So jumping ahead a little bit to kind of understand maybe the context of where I want to go with this. You ended up at Taylor University going into a major that they dub as OVC, Orphan and Vulnerable Children.
Yeah.
But rewind, let's go back to your high school ministry days and years. So my understanding, my perception is Grace Powell has a strong local and global missions emphasis.
Yes.
Did that play a factor in you wanting to go into that major at Taylor University, Orphans and Vulnerable Children?
I think that Grace Powell, the Lord does stuff in your church and he does stuff like in your heart independently. I think that Grace Powell, they now have a very robust, like 3-pronged approach to like foster, adopt, family preservation.
It's really cool.
It's pretty amazing, actually. At the time, that was still kind of in its more infant stages.
Applaud the Barnhills on that. They put in a lot of great effort into that.
Yeah, the Lord has used the Barnhill family. Like, we love you guys. Grace Powell definitely stoked my heart for missions. The Barnhills, great example of that. They spent time in Madagascar. The Hefners, I went and stayed with. They're members of Grace Powell Church who've been in South Africa for over a decade. And I think through my exposure on the mission field to, other ways of life and to other circumstances, the Lord started to cultivate in my heart a desire to like help. But honestly, I went to Taylor and then I left. And when I was at Taylor the first time, I was exercise science. And then I left for a year and I spent time on the mission field. And then it was in that time on the mission field, I was like, Lord, what do you want me to do? And he essentially was just like, this is my next assignment for you, more or less. And I didn't want to do it at first. I was like, I would rather.
And that's to pursue orphan.
OVC.
Yeah.
So.
And when you were on the mission field, did you have much exposure to the orphan and vulnerable children?
We had a decent amount, but it was more toward families in crisis than the orphan and the vulnerable child. It was, I would say it was more just exposure toward like lower socioeconomic demographics than specifically to orphans and vulnerable children. And when I was really young, we did some trips to Guatemala where my cousins were missionaries and we engaged with some orphanages. But no, this time around, it was honestly just through prayer that the Lord kept leading me to like James into passages. Isaiah 58 is one of them. And was just like, this is what you got to do.
Yeah.
And
so it really was through prayer and God's word that really led you.
It was almost missions trips are so important to me because, and I think travel is so important to me because it throws you off of your rhythms and you're listening. You're expecting God to be doing something, and your schedule is more wide open, or at least not what you're not waking up at this time, having this cup of coffee in this place.
No, that's fair. There's like a softness and an expectancy that you typically would not have.
Yeah, So, and I think the Lord meets you in that. So I really do feel like I took great pains to consecrate the time that I was in Asia, and I think the Lord answered that, and He was just like, this is what I want to tell you, which was partially related to what I was doing, but partially just, this is what I want to tell you.
When you say consecrate, what did that practically look like?
I just really made a lot of efforts to cultivate, I guess what you would call the secret place, a lot of time in the mornings and in the evenings, just with the Lord.
Spend time listening.
On your face, going on walks. And that 5 months, I just music fast. So I only listened to worship music, not because that makes you a better person, because I was like, Lord, right now my inputs are just, they're just what me and you, things like that. And I mean, I was with missionaries all day, so our conversations were naturally, just like around the Lord.
Yeah, so you jumped back into OVC at Taylor. Took a year off, went back, OVC. When you jumped into that, it sounds like it was more out of like, I see a little bit of like a parallel in my story with your story, where it seems like there was a lot of obedience towards that call and not so much a passion initially. Not that there wasn't a passion there, but it seems like it was an act of obedience. Would you agree? Is that a fair
absolutely.
sentiment?
I think
fair
that
assessment?
Most of the passion behind that initial decision was not a passion for OVC, but a passion for the Lord has finally showed me what the next step is. I've been praying for this for months, and I'm excited to do it. And then I got into the program and was like, whoa. I only did, which is ironic because, if some of my professors were listening to this, they're like, Ben, you took 4 classes or whatever I ended up taking in that year that I was there. But it was all I needed. It was like the Lord was like, I need you to go here and catch this vision. And then
It was the seed that...
It was the seed that He needed to
or the
sow.
water maybe on the seed. It seemed like the seed was there from the Lord, and He watered it through that experience.
Well, like, I understood, okay, this could be an avenue to pursue, and I think this is where the Lord is leading. But when I returned to Taylor, and I was a double major with Bible and OVC, it was in this Orphans and Vulnerable Children course that, one, we read We're Helping Hurts, which was my second or third time reading at that point, which just, but to study it as a group was a really dynamic thing for me. And then they just overviewed some of one of my classes was called Vulnerable Children or something very similar to that. And it was just talking about trauma and talking about the effects of this, the effects of that, the effects of that. And I was pretty amazed how the bottom line, they were like, Dr. Mushberger, who was the founder of the OVC program,
sounds like he was ordained at birth to become a doctor with a last name like that.
Yeah,
I know. You don't have another choice.
He's a great professor.
Yeah.
Anyhow, he would just say, we need to strengthening families. That's when we were in this this class about violence in children. That was his bottom line almost. And Taylor is such a missional university that they were strengthen families, use the church. Strengthen families, use the church.
So they really highlighted
That was all.
Yeah.
Obviously, they talked about a whole bunch, but that was like his theses. Like those were his bedrocks.
Yeah.
Like he would just, and Dr. Sisson, who now runs the program, same way. They were just, so then
Were you challenged by that? Was that like a new?
I was excited by
like
that.
a new concept, or what?
It was, well, for me, yeah. I just didn't know, like, obviously if someone were to ask me, I would kind of use biblical intuition and be like, yeah, the family structure is super important. But like to just go through stats and, our textbooks they were legit. I was actually impressed with, it was tedious a little bit. There were so many studies on like why this matters and why this cause and way too many sources. But I was like, oh.
Did they create the curriculum for that, or did they piecemeal it from other universities that were doing
I think they
some?
piecemealed it.
Okay.
It's the only like solid OVC program in the nation. I think there's one other that's like a weird like associate's degree.
It's not prevalent.
No, it's not. And essentially how I describe the OVC major to people is it's a church-oriented social works major. So instead, social works orients you toward like the institutional work and getting licensed and stuff like that, working in and with the government.
Yeah.
And OVC much more orients you toward like working in ministry, working with the church, things like that. So
probably a little bit more of an international bent too, maybe.
Definitely, definitely. A lot of, so in the OVC major, you had to have a domestic and an international practicum.
Yeah.
So
gotcha.
It was very missionally minded, which was part of what drew me because I was in Asia when I found it. I was like, oh, wow, so cool. So yeah. So what you've kind of highlighted maybe a few, but was there something that was really, really eye-opening or affirming where you're like, yeah, I could see this being a path that I pursue for the unforeseeable future? That's another, I don't want to make myself sound more spiritual than I am or more, a better follower of Christ than I am. But I think that's another thing that was largely discerned by prayer. I never expected to approach you guys and say, do you have a job for me? And I never expected to drop out of Taylor. I graduated to go online. But it was just through, I think that the Lord was stirring in my heart. I was taking Bible. So in my mind, I'm doing the OVC major and I'm doing Bible and I'm going to be a professor or I'm going to be a pastor or a teacher or something with the Bible. Because at the end of the day, the Bible is just I'm fascinated by the Bible and I just love it. Anyhow, then the Barnhills came over for dinner and they planted the seeds for MVM innocuously. They were just telling us about the new ministry at the church. They were not, I don't think they were trying to convince anybody. And I heard it and it just boom, just stuck in my brain. So then when I went back and I hear Dr. Mushberger talking about strengthen families, I know an organization that's doing exactly that through the local church. And it's just, that's when it kind of caught on like an infection in my mind. Yeah. That I was I have to pursue this.
Yeah. So then you approached that. When was that? That was 2 years?
2 summers ago.
2 summers ago. Not really knowing what you could offer to the ministry, but you're like, hey, is there something there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because, again, I felt like the Lord was just pressing on my heart. It's time to go online. And I was like, I just got back to Taylor. Went online, and I wasn't even at that point, I wasn't even solid that I was going to ask for a job because I had no idea what the immediate future held. Yeah. And then in this couple of weeks after I'm just home and I was working and that's when the Lord was like, go, reach out to the Barnhills, and they reached out to you and I emailed y'all and the
rest is history.
The rest is history.
So you've been with us for 2 years now. What have you experienced within the ministry that is really affirming from your educational experience at Taylor? Is there anything that has really built off well of what the Lord was doing in your short time at Taylor?
Yeah. I think that I've seen the importance of relationship. I was just thinking about on my drive here today, as we're engaging with new areas, the importance of relational equity. And I think that was something that they really, at bottom, the family is this invaluable set of relationships that you have, And we talked about that and we communicated that and we would learn about things that now we talk about in the mentorship program about the importance of just one figure, just one figure in someone's life. And I learned about a lot of this. And, again, a lot of it's intuitive where you're that makes a lot of sense. Of course, that's the that makes sense. Yeah, one figure in your life could really change stuff. Or you would just hear the stat generally. But then to, be immersed in it and see it more hands-on, or to read about it like in readings that we're doing for the ministry, and I'm reading about it in a book on rural poverty, and be like, oh, this is written by a secular, secular author, and they're saying the exact same things we're saying at my village. And it's so like, I think that I've seen it confirmed in like different ways, very, very practically, like seeing the life on life that people are doing, like that our staff is doing with a lot of the people that we're serving, and then also seeing it in other ways like that.
Yeah, makes sense. A little bit of a side tangent, then we're going to come back around. There was a study done, I think it was by Barna a couple decades ago, and I think it's still pretty relevant to today. I don't think the stats have changed too much, but it's something along the lines of, I'm going to butcher this, someone can fact check me out there, but it's something like 80% of those that grew up in the church walk away from the church.
Yeah.
And that walk away can mean that it's not that they're not following Jesus, but they're just disengaged in church.
Yeah.
Between the ages of 18 and 30.
Yeah.
Is that something you've seen a lot with your core friends, where they were once pretty connected and now they're in this demographic and have faded a little bit of their engagement in the church?
That was something that I saw. It's interesting. I saw that in my brother's 2 years older than me, and I saw that in his grade, and I saw that in the grade before his, and the grade before theirs. Like, and I have an N of 1, Grace Powell Church, that I grew up in, that I can like confirm that with. But a lot of them seem to have kind of left, and some of them have trickled back, and it's been like, oh, they're back. I haven't seen him in like 5 years, but a lot of them just, and sometimes you go to college, and who knows, they could be in Cincinnati going to church for all I know. But I do think I don't know who did the study that recently said that Gen Z is the most religious generation. Yeah. So there is also, I think the Lord is doing a move in, like, we've seen it in Grace Powell, around my age, to like my little sister's 14. And I would say to her age, there's been like a very interesting, people are like knowing Jesus, and there's a fire in like almost, I would say an intimacy, like it's more than what I remember just growing up in church, in the sense of like, oh yeah, like I believe the gospel and I understand this. It's like people, they're like, I've met Jesus, and like that changes things, Yeah. I've seen that a lot. So not as much in my grade and the grades under, but I did see it. Yeah. One thing I want to encourage you with, and maybe this is an encouragement to those out there in some way, is that I believe in that same research, one of the things that they identified is that one of the indicators that they have found that causes people to disengage with the church is that they didn't feel like they were an owner of the church in any way. And so what does it look like for you to be engaged as an owner in your church, even as a young age, and to really elevate and honor, respect the body of Christ, the local church that you're a part of? And when you do that well, you find, it's like anything, you rent something, you're not going to care about it as much. But if you own it and want to live out the biblical principle of like, I believe I'm the priesthood of all believers, that I can be engaged in influence and leadership in the church in some way, I think they found that they stay more connected. And I just want to applaud you, because it seems like you've always been engaged and an owner in the local church, man. And so thank you. Yeah, and you've modeled that well, even in your time with the 2 years I've known you. So thank you. Just an encouragement to you and to those out there that are in ministry in that way. What can we do to make them feel like they're owners, that they're participants, and not just recipients of something on a Sunday. You know what I mean? And I think that's the beauty of people making their faith their own. It's like, I remember going into my senior year, me and my friends decided, let's start a Bible study. And I'm sure we said some heretical things in that Bible study, because there's a bunch of high schoolers. Sure, you're idiots. But what it meant was that me and 20 or so of our friends were like, this is our Bible study. Yeah. Yep. And people were showing up and they were inviting friends. Yep. And they had ownership of the gospel in a way that they didn't before. Yeah. And a lot of those people now I know are like planting churches, and they're doing, and it's not all because of this Bible study, but that's just indication of they just took some ownership. Yeah, this is our Bible study. And find ways to serve too. And, shameless plug for MVM. If you're
in a partner church, man, could be a great way for you to serve with your local body. There's a lot of others doing it.
Just jump in the care community.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
If you think you can do it,
Become a mentor, which you help lead.
yes.
The efforts there. So yeah. No, anyway, going back to your story, I want to highlight a little bit of the efforts with Central Ohio North and some of the things that we're learning there.
Yeah.
And so you mind just talking about your role with that, what you're doing there, and
absolutely.
our hopes?
So now that I'm no longer the intern, we've kind of unintentionally soft launched the Central Ohio North area, which is Delaware County, Marion County, Morrow County, Richland County, Wyandotte, Crawford, like that whole area, the north area of Central Ohio. And essentially we're trying to just engage churches in those areas and rally churches and rally community resources and do what we're doing here or there, because there's need all over, right?
Yeah.
It's not like, the question that we need to be asking is not, oh, is there need in that area for something like family preservation? It's how can a family preservation ministry get involved, right? Because we know that the enemy is trying to destroy families. The family is a representation of God, It's like, here's a unity and diversity. It's pretty beautiful. So we're trying to engage those churches. And it's just been a different battle than Franklin County, because they're more rural areas, and they're not like Hick, but it gets a little bit more rural out there. And there's different cultures when you get to different counties. So that's what we've been doing these past couple of months.
Yeah. And so there's been some challenges. We haven't seen as much in church engagement as we like, and that's okay. Sometimes things take time. It's like a mustard seed, right? And so what have been some of the things you've learned with challenges, maybe even as you've read about rural poverty in the book Worlds Apart? If you don't mind kind of giving a plug on that book and what you learned from it. So anywhere you want to take it in light of that question. So challenges in general, rural poverty, anything you want to share there?
I think there's some challenges that I've been reading a book about the rural church. The name is skipping me. It's by a guy's last name is Damon, D-A-M-A-N. But he just explains the culture of a rural church is so much different than the culture of an urban church, and he's been in both atmospheres.
And even a suburban church too.
And even a suburban church, it's very different. And a lot of the churches, like especially Delaware County, largely suburban churches. Delaware County is pretty populated at this point. But they're just churches seen more as a community center than just like a place you go on Sundays, and it's seen more as like a place that retains the moorings of your culture than it is seen in more urban settings. And I think that like when it comes to engaging churches in rural areas, and that's where I was thinking about relationships as equity, is like
that's good.
In smaller towns or in settings where people know people, being a random outsider who just comes in and says, join this ministry, is a little bit less appealing than, in Franklin County, where it's like, you could live anywhere in the city and you've got a 20-minute commute to here, and it's just different. So I think that's something that I've been trying to learn and pray into, is like, what does it look like to mobilize a church when even like, I don't go to Marion very often, So, and like, Delaware knows me and my family, and that's great, but they don't know me. And like, what does it look like to engage and kind of cultivate some relational equity? Has been one of the challenges, and something that I've been like learning. Oh, this is a way, and I think it's important, because we're not looking to just be like, get to know us just enough that you sign up for our thing. No, we're just trying to give the church an opportunity to serve their community. We want what's best for the church, and we want what's best for the community, and if they can use My Village Ministries, then praise the Lord. So I think it's been
and because they're a community, kind of seen or viewed and maybe even execute in some ways as a community center, how much margin do they have to add something else? Do you think that is maybe an obstacle that is being faced? Like, how in the world could we possibly even think about adding another ministry?
When your church is smaller as well, like some churches in those areas, and there's still large churches in all of those counties, but if your faculty is a pastor and then maybe like a part-time administrator, you just don't see how you have any bandwidth at all. I have a friend of mine that's in Delaware County, and he essentially runs most of the show himself at his church because it's a smaller church. And like, they're a vibrant church community, but it's like, how do we don't have a lot of margin. It's not like we can be like, well, we have 11 staff members, so we'll figure out how to get this rolling amongst ourselves. It really is where the lay-led, leadership-backed model is going to need to...
Correct.
implement.
Yeah, it's not like there's a lack of need
Yeah.
in those communities either of families to be supported in that way. Is there
Yeah.
anything from the book, maybe specifically Worlds Apart, that stood out to you that maybe would be good for?
Yeah, I mean, I think I
see
learned
here.
this as well in, I went to college in Upland, Indiana, which is a very rural community, but
You think?
there's
A
7
lot of
people.
cornfields.
There's about 7 people that
Yeah.
live there, and they all live in or around Ivanhoe's.
Yeah, I was going to say Ivanhoe's is the draw.
It's just like the cultural
Yeah,
hub. It's a lower income area. It's a
Yep.
food desert. It's not terrible. Like there's still universities there, but it's definitely on like the lower, especially growing up just north of Powell. You know, Powell is doing fine. So I think that was one of the first places that I really like on a day-to-day I saw like rural poverty, where it was like rural poverty is not as much like urban poverty in the sense of you could have a lot and still be like facing bankruptcy. You know, you could have a farm with 100 acres and 5 tractors, but you still could be underwater very easily, and you just don't know. It's not as visible. Also, there's not the social support that we have in more urban settings.
Yep.
Where
They're kind of an underserved demographic
Pretty
in the sense
massively.
of government subsidies can be provided is the rural kind of
absolutely. And like
communities
even
in
just
America.
think of transportation, you know,
Yeah,
like
correct.
everyone needs a vehicle in rural areas because you can't walk anywhere.
Yeah.
There's no sidewalks.
No bus
But
system.
if you don't have a reliable vehicle, there's no like bus system. There's no you know easy coda to just come and pick you up or drop you off.
Even if you could afford an Uber, I mean,
I would never. I mean, from my farm in Delaware, I would never try to get an Uber.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So it's just different. It's just a different kind of poverty. It's much more hidden in many senses. It can be just as ingrained in identity and generation, though, as urban poverty in many ways. And I think that what I'm learning as well, and I can't cite a specific page for this, but I'm getting the impression of is family brokenness and things like that are, again, they're almost just as prevalent, but they're just expressed differently. They're not expressed. It's a more conservative culture, so things just don't express themselves as easily as they do. So again, the question is not, is there need, but how do we engage the need?
Correct.
Because the battle is going to be different.
Yep.
It's going to show its head differently, but the core is still going to be the same root problems,
Yep.
you know, because
Yep.
the enemy's at work everywhere, you know, no matter if there's 5 people per square mile or 5,000.
Yep. Where do you hope that we could be with church engagement by the end of this year? I mean, well at this point, what's the hope?
Well,
Hopefully there's people out there listening to this that are like, hey, I have this connection, or I know this person, or I know this church. That I mean, we covet any and all connections.
we would
right?
love all connections, because at the end of the day, we're a ministry approaching churches. That happens all the time.
Correct.
You know, so it's like, for them, I can't blame them if they're like, well, who are you? So having somebody in the community or in the church body who really understands our ministry, but more importantly, understands their community and can communicate in that way, that's massive. But ideally, what I'm really anxious to see happen is there's a lot of pregnancy resource centers in Central Ohio North. And I'd love to see them partner with the church through My Village Ministries.
Yeah.
I think that we can bring a form of collaboration. I was just talking to a pastor in Marion a couple months ago, and he said, it's a multi-chain church, a multi-site church, and he said, it's interesting because the giving for our church across all sites, QR code giving, the most frequently donated is to the pregnancy center here in Marion, in Bucyrus, and in one other location as well, Upper Sandusky.
So there's this desire to give to missional efforts.
And then what he told me was, but in practicality, we can't serve them. Because like you can't, like there's no easy way to serve a pregnancy.
Great outlet,
There it is. There's not a great outlet. He's like, we don't know how to like help them tangibly. You can drop off diapers. You can drop off clothes and wipes and stuff like that.
But we're looking for relational engagement.
I really do think that My Village Ministries, so I want to see the expectant family model in those areas through those local pregnancy resource centers as a foot in the door for the churches to see and the communities to see, oh, there's something to this relational ministry. That's this transformational ministry instead of just transactional. There's something here that I think we as a church body can run with a little bit.
What would, like, if you could add, and maybe some of these answers are obvious, but we would covet any and all prayers with these efforts too. To your point earlier, I think there is a perception that there may not be as great of a need in rural areas, but it's not as maybe it doesn't seem as obvious. It's not in the open as much.
Yeah.
It doesn't get the press maybe
Yes.
that some of the needs within urban settings have. What would if you could send out 2 or 3 kind of prayer requests out there as we continue to put in efforts here, what would those prayer requests be?
I would say wisdom and humility as we're trying to engage just a different kind of community, and as we're prayerfully as well, just figuring out what does it look like to partner with them. Ultimately, we're praying toward our main objectives. We want to see abuse and neglect on the decline. We want to see broken families on the decline. We want to see families that are stabilized. We want to see churches more engaged with isolated families. So My Village Ministries is a means to an end of those goals, right? And at the end of the day, we want to see those happen. And we think that we can be instrumental in that.
Yep.
Where exactly in that we can fit in their community, let's pray to that end and see how the Lord uses us.
Yeah.
But let's be praying toward that end in these rural counties. And, I think in the meantime, the Lord will grab us and pull us in because we're waiting, we're standing, muscles engaged, ready to jump in wherever we can. So I think that's a big one. And then I think just relational favor as we're...
Yep, that's a big one.
Literally dropping off flyers and knocking on doors and saying, hey, we're new to the area. That people can catch a vision for what we're trying to do.
Yeah, we truly don't want to be seen as this like savior from the outside coming in. Like we really do want to build relationship, to invest in the church so the church can be the hero in that community.
Right, or some sleazy salesman trying to get one more church on our church
Correct,
list.
exactly.
No, we're just and pure motives. Heck, if you want to throw a fourth on there, that we just every day when we wake up and we're going to go engage these new communities, our motives are not, how can we get another church to partner with the ministry? Although that's great, but it really is like, how can we be better engaging the church in this area?
Correct.
How can we mobilize the church to serve their community? Because that's at the bottom line what we're trying to do, right?
It's our heart, man.
We want the church to be big. We want the church to be just a center of holistic care for the community.
Yeah.
So I think that
hopefully we can be used by the Lord in some way for that church to be seen even more so as the community center.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I hope that if there's people out there listening in that area, they really do see our heart. That what we want for you is, we're not a parachurch looking for the church to serve us. We're a parachurch that's looking to serve the church. Yeah. And to really, again, tee up opportunities, equip and mobilize you for you to be even more engaged, because we all know that's what churches want to do. And so,
absolutely. And that's the great thing about this whole process has been for me is like, at the end of the day, I know we have the same heart. Me and the churches, these churches that I have not met yet, with pastors that I have not spoken to yet, I know we have the same heart. So I think it's just a matter of time until we and run together. And
and I know it's taken a little bit out of context, but you kind of this language of finding the people or the person of peace, the people in those churches that really, they sense the genuineness in our heart, that we want to come alongside you and really support you in these efforts. And we think we can help you to do it. And so we're not here looking to get something from you, but we're looking to add something to what it is that you want to do. And so, man, I just want to encourage the audience out there again, pray for us. We've gone on some prayer walks. We hope to do more. Join us in those. Do your own out in that area. We covet that. We are planning to have probably a pretty good size event, an interest meeting sometime in September. More information to come on that. But man, join us in prayer. If you have any connections, man, we covet those connections. Anything else that you'd want to encourage them to do?
Let's work toward family preservation in these areas. And
you grown weary yet, man? Are you patient? How you feeling?
I'm patient.
Yeah,
I'm patient. I'm excited more than anything. Major life changes behind me, you know, and I'm primed and ready to really give this my all.
Yep, I applaud you, man, and I pray that we can be patient and diligent with it. I think. Because in America we're afforded the ability to experience immediacy to what it is that we oftentimes do, that we can bail too quickly on things. And I do not want to relent, man. I do not want to give up just because we haven't experienced the momentum that we would have hoped for and even prayed for.
Yeah.
We know that's going to take some time, and I'm learning that even more and more so. And I think you're the right person for it because you are patient, man.
Thank you.
So
I'm trying to be.
yeah. But again, covet connections, covet your prayers. Want to see this sucker grow more in the northern part of Central Ohio.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us today. Tomorrow's the next day.